So I'm gonna like to think that we saved the best for last. As they mentioned, usually if you've never been to a conference, you would see tips and tricks throughout the conference. So being in one session, I'd like to think that we're going to share a bunch of stuff that will help you to help your employees to kind of maneuver through EPICS with some things that you may not be aware of. Some of these tips and tricks are or are not in the help docs. It's kind of hard to list everywhere that somebody may not find a little blurb about something that can make things easier. But knowledge is power, and the more that you can teach your users to maneuver through EPICS quicker and learn more things that will make their jobs more efficient and faster, it just kind of helps everybody. So when I worked in a plant, I liked learning things about EPICS, and over the years, all of the things that have been made to help the users. I always tell people I'm talking to, if you find something that you think is kind of a tedious task, there's probably an easier way to do it. And that's how I've been able to help people over the years to find shortcuts or things that they may not be aware of, because a lot of times I've found users are afraid to just click around in EPICS and try different things. But my thought, and to this day still holds true, that I've never broken anything. So clicking around and reading things that may not normally be something you do is how you'll find things that can help make your job easier. So we're going to focus on some cool stuff now. And here we go. So first thing we're going to look at is the ribbon in EPICS. So if your ribbon, when you open EPICS, you just kind of see the menus and a little square with an X. This is what a blank ribbon would look like in EPICS that has not been customized. So we're going to look at a quick way that you and your users can customize your ribbon. And simply when you go to the menu and you see the different topics, if you right click on one, so for example, here I've right clicked on the billet inventory tab that I would go to select in EPICS. But if I right click on that, I'll see the option to add to quick access toolbar. And that will simply start a row of shortcut icons across the top of the menu wording in EPICS, next to where the square icon with the red X is to close all screens in EPICS. So that's the only one that's there by default. And it will add other icons to the top so that the users don't have to search through the menus and look for things that they may use often. So once you click that, or after right clicking and you click to add to quick access toolbar, EPICS will automatically open a screen and want to save that file. So all of the ribbon settings are a .rib file. And everybody has one, whether you've realized that or not. They're all in a folder in EPICS, and it's kind of behind the scenes, so you may not be aware of it. And you can give it a different name if you want to. You may have 2 different versions that you want to create, but EPICS will, every time you want to make changes, you'll want to save and update that file. And it's right there. So there's mine, and it's an RIB file. And just going through what it can look like, I have all my shortcuts on top of the menu and some different versions of how you can create your ribbons. I can shrink all of the menu options, or I can have them expanded, or I can even put my icons below the menu if I want to look at that version. So just kind of showing you your options. You can move things around and kind of customize it any way you want to. You can even add a button to open a report or a program from the quick access toolbar. And so quickly, to add a report, all you have to do is click the button and it will open a screen. You can load your report name, and this also works for an external program. So if you wanted a shortcut, I believe like to Excel or something, you can actually add a different external program shortcut on EPICS menu bar. So for the report, I add that information, and then at the bottom you see the button properties. I can pick my little icon, and the caption is going to be what I want it to say when I hover over that icon. And then once I add that, you'll see if I hover over the little icon I just added, and I have my little pointer here. Oh, here we go, my little laser pointer. I learned this. I can hover over the icon I just added, and it will give me a tooltip that tells me what the report is. And then I can quickly just click on those icons to open reports, as well as shortcuts to different programs. So that hopefully is very useful to your users in customizing what they want their ribbon to look like, and have easily accessible options for how quickly they can open the different screens that they're going to use. And another thing, once you do that, if you're an admin user and you want to specifically customize ribbons for other users, you have the option to create these ribbon files, and then on the EPICS user settings, you can actually apply them to the users. So if I have a custom one that I've created for my packing department, or my shipping department, and I want them to use the same customized shortcuts that I created just to make it easier for the users, so that I don't have to explain it or have them put all kinds of topics on the top or buttons on the top. I can actually create it for them and just load that ribbon file on their user setting, and then they'll have the customized ribbons that I created for them. And there's a lot more that you can customize with moving tabs and creating tabs. It was a lot to go into for just, some tips and tricks, but there are help docs and more information on being able to totally customize your ribbons if you're interested in looking at that, or we can help you with that also. Another useful tool in EPICS, if you've ever noticed on the bottom left of your screen, there's a little drop down area with looks like a little search box. And what you can actually do, if you know a screen name in EPICS and without clicking through all the menus, you're not quite sure where exactly it is. Sometimes I swear they hide on you when you're looking for one, but you can start typing a screen name and EPICS will pull up the list of matching screens that correspond with the letters you're typing. So if I simply started typing PR, I can see I have print screen, print new tickets, anything with PR, but the more you type, obviously, when you're searching, will narrow down, and you can open the screen right from the bottom left-hand corner of your EPICS. So that's kind of a quick way when you just know real quick what you're looking for, and rather than searching for it, you can just start typing the name for it. And then looking further at the bottom of your screen, you have this whole status bar in EPICS that has the search box, and then on the right it has the date and your username. If you happen to be working on a tablet or a smaller screen and you want the full maximum window size and you just don't want anything cut off, you can actually hide that in EPICS. And all you have to do is go to File, and you'll see the little Show Status Bar section. If you unclick that, then the status bar at the bottom of the screen will be hidden. So you'll have just a little bit of extra space on your screen, and sometimes that's all you need to help you see everything you need to. So there it is. And then I think there was some discussion about this already. We have in the chat thing earlier, but if you've ever noticed on the top left-hand side of most screens in EPICS, there's a area that says Advanced Find with a checkbox. And what this is going to do is help us query things in EPICS and get more customized information using more specific parameters for the query. So if I click the Advanced Find box, this little section at the bottom appears automatically. And for example, if I wanted to look for certain ship dates and I click greater than April 30th ship dates, I would click the Advanced Find box, then click in the required date field, and then at the bottom, the date will appear, and I would click Apply. And EPICS will return all of the records that match the criteria that I just searched for. So you just have more parameters that you can use, greater than or null, or just your more customized parameters that you can use for a query. and see, this way I got 6 results back. And then I can also still use this on-screen characters to search for different things. So if I wanted to search for example, minimum tolerances, and I want to see how many orders have a set minimum tolerance, greater than dot will work. That will give you almost any value that would be there. You can use greater than 1, greater than 5. So just simply a greater than a dot will give you results to search for, and you can look at those for whatever reasons you need to, but you can use the different parameters in most fields to find different query results. So once we have those results, then there may be something we need to analyze further with those. So if you look all the way to the top right of your screen, if you've ever noticed the little white box, that is the show all button, is what I call it. And if you click the show all button, EPICS will actually return your values to a grid, and you can see all of the data on one screen. That if you needed to save the data to a file, you could, but you can use EPICS to actually manipulate the data and customize what you're looking at as far as your results. You can, and this is all with the same query results that I just had. I can sort the columns. You'll see here I sorted by my actual weight per foot. I can rearrange the columns. So you're going to get a query of results that have every field on the screen that you have done a show all on. So if I just want to move all my columns to the left that I need to look at, I can rearrange the columns in any order. And all you have to do is drag the column name in each column, and you can drag them left or right. And I can even go a step further and I can filter the data. So here on the alloy column, if you right click on the column header, you will get a list of all of the values that are in that column. So for this one, everything would be selected originally. If you uncheck the select all, some of the values, then you can filter out what you don't want to see or see. So I unchecked select all, and then I just checked the 6063 box, and then you would click apply. And then EPICS will filter. So now I know all of my results I'm looking at are orders that had 6063 alloy only. And anytime you're doing this, if you look at the column headers, and you'll see a checkbox by any columns that are filtered. So I can filter many columns. I can go back and filter by customers to eliminate certain customers. I can filter by anything in any column. So if you were doing this and you look across the column top, you can see all the check boxes, and then you can go back and you see the clear option was one behind them, or that was to clear results. But you'll want to make sure that you uncheck any if you're relooking at the data. And thinking of this a step further, if you've ever used the field chooser in EPICS, it works similarly to this, but there is a button to unfilter all. But in the screen, you have to know to go back and unfilter them if you filtered on your columns as you're doing this. So that will give you a different way to look at all of your data in EPICS and find things you're looking for, analyze anything that you want to in a different way without having to have written a report or export the data. You can just quickly look at it real quickly on the different screens as you're going through. We've looked at the configuration settings a lot in the past 2 days, and something else that's very helpful as you're looking for configuration settings is this little search box. And a long time ago, it was kind of easy to remember what the config settings were, but there are so many config settings, and I was going to actually ask John at some point how many config settings we have now. But
all of them.
All of them, yes, there is all of them. That's what it seems like. But if you have any idea of something you're searching for, whether it be racks or you don't know the screen name, you just want to see config settings related to a topic, cast information, you can start typing a word, and if there's any config setting that has what you're typing in the setting or the description, EPICS will return values related to what you're typing, kind of like we just did on that screen search based on that smart typing. we can start typing and find the config settings related. So for this config setting, I was looking for config settings related to grid column layout for this example. Because I know you can customize screens in EPICS by sorting the columns on your press schedule or your department schedule, your shipping grid layout. So I was looking for my screens that had to do with a grid and its layout setting. And that's going to bring me to the next topic. So I typed in grid and I can see all of the config settings related to it. But another one, as you're going through your configuration settings after everything you've learned in EPICS, you may want to look at settings that have to do with rack or billet or anything. So that's a good way. It may not give you all of the settings, but it's a good way to find most settings that have a relation to a topic that may be in more than one category on the left by just looking at the category. So using the grid layouts as an example, another trick I actually just learned recently that I want to share in case it's hopefully helpful. You can copy and paste data in many locations using Control-C and Control-V. Most people just kind of know that shortcut. We've learned it along the way at some point in our history. But if you need on a config setting, for example, to copy data out of a cell, it kind of works a little bit different. So if I am training somebody to do the press schedule, and I've done it for many years, and I have my columns customized on the schedule screen in a certain order. As I'm training another user, they're going to look at their schedule and it's not going to match how I've customized my schedule. So if I want to then just give them the grid layout that EPICS saves every time you customize those columns on certain screens, I can actually copy and paste my grid settings to their user setting. And to do that, first for this, you have to click in the cell at the bottom down where in my user settings, see there's no network setting, there's no plant setting, it's just my user setting because that's my customized column setting. So if I click in a cell and then click Control-A, you'll see that cell will highlight in blue. And that means EPICS has selected all of the data in that cell. And there's actually, you can't see them here, there's probably 50 column names, comma separated in that cell. And then I click Control-C to copy that data. And then I would change the user over here on the left. So I want to copy my grid layout to a quality person or whomever I want to change, set it to. And then when you go to that user, if their cell at the bottom was blank, meaning it's the original layout of EPICS, there will be no customization and it will have been a blank cell here at the bottom. But if they customized it and you do see data there, you'll click A again to select all of their column headings down there and then Control-V. So if it was blank, I can just click in the cell and click Control-V to paste my column settings to the new user. And then of course, apply the changes. And once they reload their settings and reopen the screen, they'll have the custom grid layout that I have given them. Another important thing as you're going through a lot of screens, you'll notice that you have a lot of areas where things are expandable. So they'll have the little plus. And so for example, on the standard shipping screen, if I wanted to see all of the information below each of those pluses, and I go and I have to click plus, 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 plus on everything. But if you click Control and then one plus sign, EPICS will actually expand all of those for you. So they'll immediately, everything will open up and you'll be able to see everything at once. And one good thing I found when testing this, actually, if you do it, then if there's multiple levels of expandable fields, if you do it on the second level, then all of the second level will expand also. So it's not just the main level that will expand. You can do that every time you see another level of expandable fields that you can just click Control and plus, and they'll all open up as well. So that's always very useful when you want to see all of the data on the screen at the same time without having to just manually open each level one at a time. And it can never be said enough, always reload settings under File. And I know we've gone over this, so it's but it's never not important enough to mention again, and because a lot of us were trained to just close EPICS and reopen it. So anytime changing permissions, adding departments, changing config settings, creating custom languages, always have your users go to File, reload settings, and then reopen the screen that had changes applied to it. Another great feature in EPICS for any screen that you have open. If you're not sure about what to do with the screen or you want more information, we're always updating the help files in EPICS. And if you can use your keyboard to just click the F1 key, and EPICS will open a help doc related to the screen. So here from the order entry screen, I clicked F1 and I started with a topic that was navigating the order entry screen. And most topics have other related topics, so you can read more about different areas. It might be bringing you to pricing or creating parts. So clicking F1 is a good place to start. And we always add, if for some reason you're not getting a help doc, because sometimes things change in EPICS and the help doc may have gotten disconnected, let us know and we'll add that back in so that you always have a great help file when you click F1. And we may have already seen how to email the active window, but just in case, to remind you, you can go to help on EPICS and this great button, email active window. So if I had the order entry screen open and I needed to send it to somebody for a question I had, EPICS will actually open an email and have a screenshot of that screen, and I can address it to anyone I need to send it to, and without having to print screens or write notes to somebody, I can just simply email that active window and EPICS will take care of that for you. Which brings me to having the print screen option as well. If you need to print something out, you don't actually have to use another program like Snippet or anything else. You can actually go to File, and there is a print screen option, and EPICS will open a printer prompt, which a lot of times I print it to a PDF if I needed to for something on screen, or you can physically print it if you actually had to print it for something. So some great shortcuts there. If your company has any dashboards that run reports all day, I know a lot of companies do that now, where you just have reports that you keep for production or order status, different, I don't know if you do order statuses, but statuses of different departments. In the report maintenance screen, you have an option to refresh that report as often as you want to. So rather than somebody having to go in and close or reopen reports every day, you can set it and EPICS will automatically refresh that data for you.
Mariah?
Yes.
Hey, I'm sorry. I wanted to jump in real quick because there was a question about that very thing in the discussion yesterday. Someone asking about adding dashboards to EPICS. And this is the current solution for having a dashboard type of utility in EPICS, is designing a report, a crystal report that you can set on your desktop or in EPICS and just refresh at the lowest interval is 1 minute. So you could have a report that automatically refreshes every minute, essentially creating a dashboard. So that is the current solution for dashboards in EPICS. Requires a report.
Okay, so good information there. Moving along, we have links options. Most screens in EPICS, you can link external URL or documents to kind of help go paperless, or so that other users don't have to come and find a piece of paper that you may have filed somewhere. You can link this information in EPICS so that other users can view the information. If you get a printed purchase order and you want to keep the information, it's great to have everything accessible to everybody without having to sort through boxes and files of paperwork. So you can add customizations or different standards that people need. So that's, you can add links to parts, dies, orders. So a lot of different places. If you've not paid attention to the links tab, that can be very helpful with giving access of information to people that is not necessarily information that's has fields in EPICS. So you can link documents and more information. And hovering, if you've never just kind of looked around in EPICS, if you do, you'll notice, and I know Scott pointed out a lot, mousing over is, I called it hovering, same concept of looking for information that you may not realize is there. So if you hover over a routing, for example, you can see all of the departments in a routing. You can see the days for the lead time, what category the routing is. You can hover over on the press schedule. If you hover over the shift, you can see a summary of all of the information for about that scheduled shift, pounds, hours, billets, a lot of information there that's useful. Anywhere you see colors in EPICS, and I know a lot of different screens we've looked at since yesterday showed color, but you'll get a tooltip. If you see colors, hover over it, even if you're not sure. I believe we've pretty much have a tooltip over every color of something that can be there. So on the press schedule screen, green means that production has been posted for that item. So simple things that you may not have realized are going to give you more information. There's more information there. Another one on the press schedule screen, which you can actually customize to show you based on different information. This one I have set for finish codes have a different color. So when I'm looking at the schedule, I can see any finish code that's on the schedule with a different color is a non-mill finish item. So anywhere you see colors in EPICS or other fields, like I said, on the schedule, over the shift, over a routing, EPICS will give you more information. So hover over things and you'll be surprised if you're not hovering quickly that you'll actually see the tooltips and more information pop up. Which another good indicator, if you've ever realized sometimes where you see your cursor, you see question marks pop up, that is where you will want to right click for more information. So here, for example, if I right click on a sales order, I can see a sales order summary. I can reprint an acknowledgement. I can create a duplicate SO. I can copy and paste if I actually needed to that information. If I right click over an item number, I get a whole list of different things I can look at. I can look at the notes, the work orders, view the work order data. I can actually calculate a new work order for this item, see the production history, detail, downstream scrap. If I have any tensile tests made, I can then quickly go to maintain the item, view all production postings for the item, or see if I had any reserves to apply to this item. So that gives you a lot of information just by right-clicking over an item number. Right-clicking on a bill to or a ship to customer, I can then quickly open the customer information, do an order inquiry, which will open a screen that shows me all sales orders for this customer. Look at any internal customer notes. If you have the corrective action module, you can see a corrective action history for that customer. And on a die number, again, I can see my die thumbnails, any die fab, packing, or other drawings linked to the die, maintain the die, show all items for the die, view a corrective action history by die, or copy and paste. So that will give me a lot of die information. And finally, I can right click. Another great one is for parts. And again, I can see any drawings related to the part, maintain the part, see all items for the part, and a correction active history based on part. Or if this was one that was a stock part, I can create replacement stock right from here. So right clicking is great. And you'll notice, if you've never noticed, when you're moving your mouse, you'll see question marks pop up. And that's an indication that it's right clickable. So right clicking will give you a lot of information in one location. Another great useful bit of information is the prod num and right clicking on that. So if I'm in a sales order and I'm looking at the production detail screen, you'll notice all the way over on the right, there's prod nums, and that's your production number. So every time production is entered for an item through any department, you'll have a prod num that the EPICS links by sales order or date, shift, department, date, shift, and machine, not in that order, but you can view all of your production postings. So if I click on that prod num and click view production posting, it would open every production posting for that item. This one only happened to have one, but if I had multiple production postings, I can see them all at once. So I don't have to go to the advanced production screen and search for them. I can just view them by right clicking on the prod num. And then opposite of that, I can go to, if I'm on the advanced data collection screen, on the changes tab, I can see what prod num was linked to each individual production posting. And I know this is good for reports, or if I had a specific issue with one specific run, I can let another user know, find prod num 58814, so that they can go back and maybe verify something or know that that lot of material may have an issue that they need to check. So I can be real specific with those prod nums for things without having to tell them I ran it, February 3rd, shift 2 from 2:45 to 3:15. They can just simply search it by prod num. And that was that. Okay, so if you're using user fields, one of the great things, if you've not realized, you can design a screen and put all of the fields on there. If you're not using group boxes, that's a way to easily sort and lay out the design of the screen so that you can kind of group things together. You'll see here, instead of just having one screen with all of these fields, we have date check boxes or group boxes, check boxes in a group box, text fields. I can customize it more easily by using group boxes. And to do that in the screen layout designer, all you have to do when you're going to design your screen is drag that new panel, which is the first option in your list on the left, and drag it to the screen first. And you always want to add the panel first, because if you put your fields and then you put the group box, you're kind of putting the group box over the fields, and then they get lost when you're looking at it in EPICS. And if I needed to move it around, the fields stay on the group box, and you can move the whole box kind of to rearrange as you're doing your screen design. So if you're not familiar with the screen layout designer, I know there's a lot of help docs on that, and we're happy to help you designing any screens or giving you advice on how to use that. And finally here, I know Scott reviewed all of the information in order entry, but one other thing I had is how you can customize the order entry screen. And if you've never right clicked on any of the column headers on any of the tabs, you'll get a box that opens up and allows you to customize between the tabs. You can move, instead of having to start entering your information on the properties tab, and then maybe you have something you always have to go to the other tab or a user field, you can actually select. And so here I right clicked on the max tall field and I want to move it to the properties tab. I would just click properties tab, and then the next time after I save my screen layout and I reopen my order entry screen, my fields will be on the tabs that I set them to. So that's a great way to customize how you want to enter your data and move it around, maybe from tab to tab or within the fields. And you can kind of set that up how you want it. And then, so you'll always want to remember to save your screen layout. And if you ever got it totally in an order that you're not sure of what you did, you can always restore it to the default layout and start over again if you needed to. And that was a lot of tips and tricks. I hope somebody grabbed some good information from there, and kind of hope it helps to make your job a little bit easier.